What's going on, everybody? Surprised to see me so soon. So what I decided to do this time was, instead of uploading these videos weekly, I'm going to upload one on Saturday and Sunday, midweek, and then Friday. So Saturday, Sunday, midweek, Friday. Let's see how this works. We'll see if it's good. The reason why I don't want to do it Monday is because we're at a level right now where we could predict stuff a week ahead of time, 2 weeks ahead of time, so it's not really that necessary that we see the Monday data. In fact, it kind of adds to the challenge, right? So, alright, let's start this. First thing is, let's cover last week, starting from Friday. We were playing the call side. We wanted this to actually break above the last high. It could not. It got stuck around 5.99 and started getting sold off to the bottom. Right where you see it says I bought puts, we went ahead and averaged down on some puts. We ended up buying some puts around here for around $60. There were 0 days, right? At the top, they were around $12. We ended up buying another 2 of them. Those options went from $12 to $20 down there. Not $20, $200, sorry. Once they were at $200, they basically started losing their value and started dying off. The next day, after we had bought calls at the bottom right here, we instantly sold out of them, and we had said the market was going to fall right back to the floor, in which it did so. We initially just wanted the market to fall to around 592, so it just collapsed out the sky, right? We ended up buying some calls right here with the whole entire YouTube as well as the Discord. Everybody was up 50 to, I think, 80% around here. Some of us were up 100%, those that got the 0 days. We ended up getting stuff that was 6 days out, I believe, maybe 3 days out. So for everybody who was getting the 1 days to 0 days, they ended up profiting even more, of course. At this point, we had told everybody, all right, if you fall below this purple area, continue to play the puts. See if this is going to tank to this next golden area. It fell about halfway, got bought up. Next day started. Pretty much gave us that touch. Now, once we got a touch of that yellow line down here, as you can see, we bought the calls and we're instantly right back up. This time we were up around 60%, 50%. Those, of course, they were up around, they bought the 0 days to 1 days, were up around 100%, 200%. Next day, same exact situation. Once it got below the purple, we had told everybody, start buying the puts. You want to sell the puts right at the yellow line. Just in case if it doesn't hit the yellow line, just like last time, this day right here. See if you can sell at the halfway point, and if it continues to drop below it, you can continue to play the puts. So a lot of us did stop out these puts a little bit earlier, but we did get another opportunity right here towards the end of the day again, where, again, everybody, we bought the calls at the yellow area, and as you can see, pretty much just ran straight right back up into the purple area. These calls we're holding to see if this is gonna pop right back up to the 595 area. We think it could get up to the 593 area, but if it gets above that, 595, 596, and at that point, we're looking for this to drop. If it can get above 596 and hold, you're looking for this to break pretty much every high. So let's just see what can happen here, right? In terms of the downside, if you get below 579 tomorrow, puts to 575. If you can get below 575, 574, puts right down to 571, 570. Got that, everybody? Pretty much exactly where these levels are saying to buy puts at. So if you want, you could take a picture. I'm sure you understand that this has worked days and weeks at a time, so make sure you use it to your benefit. Going to the next chart, chart number 2. This was a really good prediction last week, as well as for Friday. We're not going to cover the whole week because we just covered it with that one chart. Just going to talk about Friday. Look at this last prediction, the green one and the red one. We had said you can't hold, you'll drop straight right back down to the red line, which is at 581.12 or lower. If you look at where 581.12 is, that's exactly where we dropped. And like we said, you couldn't hold. So this chart, again, we had created it this day right here before this market had even opened, right? Kind of like how we created these right here, which we'll get to them in a second. But as we said over here, you couldn't get above the 581.12 line, except for this area right here, where if you did, you could have played the calls following this little projection, right? As you all know, it decided to fall down even more, and it hit the first pink line and got bought up. And then the second time it actually fell down to that lower line, which if I hover over it, that's at 578.41. We had said 578.60. So at that point, of course, it had lagged out onto the line. Still correct though, right? Let's go over what can happen on Monday. Straight down. This is exactly what we're looking at. If we get above 580, we're looking for this to climb right back up to around 581, then 584. Anything above 584, straight up to 588. Anywhere above 589, straight up to 593. Got that, everybody? For the downside, anything below 580 puts to 578, 577. You're looking for this to drop to 575, 75. The reason being is if you can get below that level, you're going to drop straight right back down to 572. And then you're looking for this red line down here, which is going to be around 567. Again, everybody, that's chart number 2. Chart number 7, pretty much the same projection as last week. I want to see if the market's going to open up at around 587. Or I want to see if it's just going to gap down and open at around 575. Again, you're in an area where you're either going to gap straight up, $3, $2, or you're going to gap straight down. You can't open at the same price you closed at. In fact, that's kind of what we want you to do. But the gaps are actually possible around this time and around this area, just because of how low you are, right? Again, everybody, this is chart number 7. Look at these ideas going straight down. Look at where the price action is at, and then you can correlate it with an idea on the side right here, right? We also made you a shorter idea that you could follow, which is newer. We came up with this one on New Year's, right? This was on November, October, this idea here. Now, for chart number 7, as you all know, you want to get above these golden lines. However, those quarter points and those midpoints are the only thing you have to worry about. Don't really pay too much mind to those circles and these little pyramids right here, as we still need to fix them once we open up on Monday. So again, just pay attention to the golden lines and those levels. Make sure you write them down and take a picture. Moving on to the next chart. This is going to be chart number... We actually don't have a number for this one. This is just the monthly DARP chart. If you get below 576.73, puts to 570. If you hold above 579.33, calls to 588. Simple as that, everybody. We do have a projection we're going to go over soon, but we can give you the last little bit of it. A little teaser, right? Take a picture of that if you would like. It's going to be very helpful. This was our last idea, right? By the way, right? So we had a few points. We didn't go that much into detail on a lot of them. As you can see, that's what we changed here, right? So these are your downside and your upside targets, as well as your areas for weekly and monthly calls. Make sure you pay attention to that. Again, I'll zoom in a little bit more just so you can see this a little bit more clear. I want to see if it's going to replicate the same trend and have the same peak. Meaning I want to see if it's going to pop up somewhere right here. If it can and it holds, we can go even higher. If not, I just want to see if we can play the calls to this area. So on Monday, we're going to start hopping into the calls above 579. And if we get below 579.20s, we're just going to play the short-term puts. That's the main idea right there. Going on to the second monthly DARP chart. This is version 2. You could just read the projections, everybody. Read this one, that one right there. That's the selling point for if you get into the puts below 579.80s. So make sure you pay attention to those levels. Anywhere above 579.80, 579, you could just say 580. 580 flat, right? Calls to where, you might say. 593, that's the top. If you're trying to play to the middle, 585, 586, right? Going on to the next chart, perfected consolidation zones. Pay attention to these little text bubbles right here. That's the only thing you need to look at. Take a picture of that if you would like. Whichever chart basically just appeals to you, I guess. Just take a picture of those. These levels, as you can see, you could be the judge if they worked or not. With this touch and those touches there, as well as the touch of the halfway points, right, and the quarter points, right. Make sure you take a picture. Going on to the next chart. Once this gets above this area right here, 583, we're going to continue to play the weekly calls to 593. From market open till 583, we could play shorter dated calls, maybe like 3-day calls. Once you get to 583, make sure you start playing the puts, 1 to 3 day puts, maybe even 5-day puts. If you get above 583, like I just said, 2 to 3 week calls to about 593. This is the Great Fall chart, so this chart is going to show you where, again, SPY is going to collapse to. If you get below 578, watch out, because you could drop really big. So I'm just warning you right there, right? This is your max consolidation zone chart. Keep it simple. Anywhere below 57823 puts to 573. Anywhere below that puts to 56850. You could also follow this little projection right there. It's simple, but it's about to run out of ideas. You only have these 2 ideas right there left. Yeah. If you hold above 572, 577, which is this area here, you can see this running right back up to the high, basically hitting right around this area right there. That's where I'm thinking. Again, 593, 594, somewhere around this upper area. Going on to the YouTube chart. This is actually doing pretty well, actually. If you stay below 580, 50, continue to play the puts to 577. Below 577, puts to about 575. Anywhere below that, puts straight down to 568, 565, right? Watch that low end, because things could get really dicey around this bottom end down here. Once you get below this area right here, which is 577, you could have some massive problems with the downside. You might just drop to 565 or 555, right? Just watch out. Don't put all your capital down into one of these weekly plays. Make sure you kind of spread it out a little bit. Buy one a week. After all, they're 6 months out, right? 9 months out. Why are you trying to buy the whole position 1 week? Remember, you have to average into a position, not just straight up throw the whole book at the first location, right? For this chart right here is real simple. You see how low we are? I want us to go right here. 608. That's simple, everybody. I want us to go from here. And if we hold above this area, 577, I'm playing calls on the monthly to 2 month, straight up to here. That's under construction. All right, let's select from our library, right? Let's go ahead and go over the wedge chart. For the wedge charts, very simple. I'll show you the updated one right after this. Anywhere below this level right here, 578. Right there, 578.88. Play the put straight down to right here. 571. If you hold above 578, calls to 588. And anywhere above 588, make sure you get into the calls on the weekly and the monthly, because you could pop straight up to, first, of course, 593, right? Then to the midpoint, 500, 599, 600, right? And then to the top, 611. I said 500, but I meant 600, right? And then to the top of 611. This right here is the updated version of that, right? This actually shows you the independent little contracts you can get into. So make sure you take a picture of these, as well as the downside, right? Watch out for that. This right here was one of our classes, so if you're trying to figure out how to draw this, go to the class from November 23rd. It's a Saturday class. This next chart right here, this is your backup level just in case we gap down or we fall. $150 into 3-month options, 10 strikes out max. Once you get into this area, kind of like an insurance play, right? If you hold around the bottom, because as you all know, you popped up once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. This could be the 5th time. If it's not, you're going to collapse straight down to this bottom area right here, where you're then potentially going to hold, get bought up to about the same area you're stuck at right now. So it's kind of funny. Those who buy in on Monday, around the same area, if we just continue to collapse throughout the week, they're going to get kind of screwed right here. And again, FOMC is in about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, so be very careful here. Last time, before FOMC, this was basically 3 weeks before it, a month before it, and it was running up to FOMC. Then it started changing directions about 2 weeks before it. So 2 weeks to it, up, 2 weeks to it, down, FOMC, collapse. Continuing the down. So you could say about maybe a week and a half. Not a week and a half, but 2 weeks up, 3 weeks down. Basically is what I'm trying to say. So if we go off of that same projection, same idea. And remember, this is the last FOMC over here. This is it on November 5th and 6th. If you go about a month back, which is right here, this is basically down. 2 weeks to it, it was up. Then about 2 weeks to it, down, and then it snaps up to FOMC, giving you that opposite reaction, right? I remember that was to FOMC, then FOMC came out, and then you went up. So it snapped to it. This time, you snapped after FOMC. So now remember, that's a change in timing in terms of the big move, which means this time it's the same kind of case, same type of scenario. It might happen maybe even after FOMC, is what I'm trying to say. It might lag the projection, meaning it might not be a quick little snap on this FOMC. It might be more of a slow staircase, up or down. Going to the next idea. Remember, we also have CPI and PPI coming out this week, so watch out for those. Anywhere below 577, put straight down to 567, 569. Anywhere below that, put straight down to 556. If you hold above this level right here, 577, call straight up to 599, everybody. Look at these projections right here. This is kind of a little messy, so we'll just pay attention to the text here. And then we'll move on to the next chart, right? This one's very visually appealing, right? Pleasing to the eye. All right. As you all can see, we've drawn this, well, basically almost a month ago now. And it's still working. So if we hold here, you're going straight up to 614. That's why on Monday, as soon as we open, we're going to get into our position with $150, $200 for options that expire in about a month out, 2 months out. Because we want to see if this is going to run straight up to the top and continue this trend. It's not just this chart, it's many other charts. This is just one of them that are showing you, yeah, that's a pretty good idea so far, right? Anywhere above 580.40 calls to 584. Anywhere below 578 puts to 575. Anywhere below that puts to 572. Anywhere below that puts to 569, right? And then of course 565. For now, just pay attention to these midpoints. I want to see if we're going to hold either somewhere around here and then jump up to this area right around 590, 593, 592. As you all can see, it's pretty much the same area as the other charts, right? If not, I want to see if you can get shut down below here and fall to 575, where we could then test the 1 day, maybe 0 day calls, right? Going to this chart, phenomenal, right? Again, we came up with this chart right around this date over here, right around New Year's. So far, so good. First target, second target, and third target have been met. Fourth target's down here at 572. If not, it might swoop right back up and hit the fourth target at 624. Let's just see. It's a wild shot at this point. It's getting further and further away, of course. This chart's very simple. Anywhere above 579, 580.80. Calls straight up to 588. Anywhere above that, a lot of buy signals straight up to the top. So if you get below 579, put straight down to 577.90, and then puts below to 575, straight down to potentially 573. All right, everybody. Let's go over this chart right here real quick. Anywhere above 579.56 calls to 583. I forgot to change the... I was like, There you go. And then your next put target is right up here at 593. Again, we want to see if it's going to, do the same little trend here. Because now it's hitting the bottom and it's breaking out. You know what that means, right? That means you could potentially now break out towards the top, which again is around 604, 608. So a lot of charts are pointing to that top end. Gotta just be a little careful here. For a QQQ, we're gonna show you another chart in a moment here. Let's just cycle through some of these charts to see what we got. See if we want to show you anything. On your fish chart, it's kind of funny. I didn't recognize this until I looked at these charts for SPX. You actually went lower on SPX, and you actually hit a lower low, which broke the whole entire trend. So, it's kind of worrisome, right? Because if you continue to go below this, you're definitely going to fall to this low down here. So we're going to play the puts on SPX from 5805 straight down to 5736. If you hold above 5804, call straight up to 5874. On this ES chart, which is the futures, you're following the red nicely. If you continue to get below this area right here, I'm telling you, play the put straight down on the futures to 5701. It's a little bit different from SPX, so just recognize that. Pay attention to that. If we go to our BABA chart real quick, before we switch this up, I need everybody to recognize that was that an ad? I had to look at the song I was listening to. 82, 33, and anywhere above, call straight up to 100. Again, everybody, this might be the start to something great. So just pay attention to what can happen here. BABA could really start rallying towards the top. And if it does, this is your mid target after 2 years, which is 184. And this is your max target after 4 years, which is going to be around 300. And then around here, you could just play the 1 month to 6 month options, right? If you're planning on selling out real quick. And if you're getting a short strike price, not expiration date, make sure, 1 month to 3 months, not that short, right? If you're trying to get anything longer than that, make sure you're aiming for somewhere in this upper quadrant. If not, same old stuff. If you're actually getting longer dated options and you're just playing for a short little move, you're going to get hit with profit faster, right? Let's look at some of these charts here. Everything is pretty much covered now for at least this chart. So we're going to minimize this now. Let's show you our Euro chart. So again, we went long down here. We're massively up, sold out. Went short over here. Massively up, sold out. Went long right here, are massively down. We have one account that we're going to buy into this on Monday, so we're going to see if we can buy into this right around this lower portion, if not maybe at this line. I've been waiting for this to hit this target for the last 3 months, 4 months. Once we hit that, I want to see if we can start running up towards the top. These accounts, by the way, they're all down another $10 about each right now. This one's $340. That one's about $70, $65. This one's about 60, if not 63. So they're down once again. Just because this last little drop right there, right? So we're going to see if this gets bought up. Once we get to that same area, break even, we might just get out. If not, see if this is going to run towards that 200 moving average. And we'll see if we're going to play the long on top of that 200 going higher. Because that's the main intention here. I want to see if it's going to hit one of these targets once again. That's what we did the first time. Went long here, hit a target, sold out. Went short around here, went past it, sold out, right? And then we bought somewhere around here is where we went long. So again, we'll get out once we get near that same area. We're also going to use another account to start making back some of that lost capital from those other accounts, which is the fourth account, the $1,000 account. And all right, everybody, let's get this rocking and rolling. We can go over Japanese currency real quick. Why not, right? This one's really listening to the chart really, really, really well. If you hold around 161, you could play the calls straight up to, or the long side, sorry, to about 163. I want to see if this is going to hit that, again, the same high. I kind of like broke myself right there. So again, you have a high right here at the top, and then you have this high right here, and then you have another one. And as you can tell, they're all lower highs, so you just want a lower high here, as well as you have a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So again, you could break down below all of this and still go up higher, continuing that trend there. You just got to recognize that. So when you're going long here, just be very careful. This might go down a little bit lower. All right, let's change the charts. Let's look at gold. This is our prediction from last week. So far, so good, right? Make sure you take a picture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at the other futures charts with this account. So let's go ahead and look at, let's see, where's futures at? Boom. Remember, this is regular gold. This right here is micro gold. This right here is, we don't have nothing for silver yet. We're going to make sure we make that this week. This right here is copper. So these are all the levels you want to pay attention to, right? Look at the left side. Look at the right side. Look at where the lines are placed at. Again, we want to see if this could run to 4.40. If it can't, you're going to see this get sold off from around this area here. Potentially drop into a lower low, just like how you see on this trend here. If not, you could hold somewhere in the middle for a nice little short. I mean, you're basically playing the long side, but it's more of a shorter time frame is what I was trying to say. Aside from this, let's look at US oil. Look at the projections, look at the predictions. So far, really good, right? We drew this right around here when it was still at the midpoint, you could say. Now it's away from the midpoint and towards the top range. So once it gets above this, we're going to create a whole nother prediction. This is for platinum. We went ahead and created a shorter 15-minute little range, right? The other one was a little too big. And I believe that might be all for the futures plays here. Yep, that's all. Let's move on to NVIDIA. We created another easier chart. You'll see why I say that in a second here. When I switch over to that NVIDIA chart, it's jam-packed with information. So unless you're zooming in and pausing it to specific little items, it's going to look like it's a lot. This one's simple. Look at this. Below this puts to there. Above 135 calls to 140. That's the easiest trade right now. This is the other NVIDIA chart, right? A little bit more complex and crazy. See if you could hold above 135, because then you could run up to 140, where you could then potentially run up to 146 again. For now, again, 140. Let's just take that, and then we'll potentially play the 0 days to 1 day puts. If this happens, you know, by a Friday or on expiration. If not, we'll just continue to play the weeklies. On AMD, we created a really nice chart. Look at this right here, right? We just got to add the prices to this. We're not going to do that right now. I will hover by the prices right now on the screen. Actually, we'll just go ahead and do that. It will be quick. There you go, everybody. Happy? Beautiful. Anywhere below 110, 109, put straight down to 89. First, of course, the midpoint in between here, right? Around 195. And then put straight down to 84, or otherwise 81, which is the bottom of this range right here. The lower you get, the greater the response and the reaction can be. So that's what I'm looking for right now. I just want to see if semiconductors could get a little bit more oversold here. Not all of them, of course, some of them. For Microsoft, very simple. And again, this week we're going to give you a little bit more information just because we just did a lot of work this past couple of days. We've been here for like a couple hours. Not too sure how much at this point we lost count. Lost count a long time ago. Let's zoom in here. Let's exit on that. Anywhere above 237 on Apple, calls first to 238. Anywhere above 238, calls straight up to 242. Where you could then get sold off for the first time, right? If it's not going to be this little time right down here. If you continue to drop out the sky, put straight down to 235. Calls straight right back up to 236. And then puts right back down to 231. Simple as that. You also have this little text right here. We're going to skip Tesla. We're going to leave that for the Discord. That picture right there, if you pause it, it'll help enough. Look at your futures chart right here. We have one more. Anywhere below 58.68, play put straight down to 57.59. Anywhere above 58.68, call straight up to 59.40. Simple as that. We're going to go through a couple charts on this account. Let's do this. It's going to be a lot. So let's see. The VIX is starting to spike up, so pay very close attention to that. Could mean for a greater SPY drop, right? Usually you get that ramp up and then all of a sudden, instant drop out the sky. So that's kind of what we're looking for here. Want to see if this is going to be bigger than at least this time right here, because if it does turn out to be a little bit bigger than that moment right there, that means the next high we're aiming for is this one right here. Which, if I go on the bigger chart, just to show you the bigger Wix chart, or VIX chart, sorry, I said Wix. As you can see, if you get past this high right here, that's a problem, because the VIX's all-time high is going to be around 89. So we can do that potentially. This wick right here was in August, I believe. Yeah. That was when you fell around $60 out the sky within 2-3 weeks, which is crazy. UVXY, we're going to skip that. Got to fix it. Go into the SPX chart. Let's zoom into the 15-minute. As we talked about before, it's lower than SPY, but it is holding on some of these wedges. I did kind of fix the wedges, so doesn't really count as it holding right now, as it just, dropped down there. So if it drops down and holds on it once more, I would consider that still holding. For now, it just made a low, and it's making a higher low. So it's starting an uptrend, starting a staircase. If this continues to get higher, you can see this shoot up straight up to 5,922. If this gets below and stays below 5,837, straight down to 5,766, where you can then enter into some nice calls for a nice little whiplash right back up. On the SPY chart, with this account, very simple. If you get below 578.79, see if you can get shot straight down to 559.69, where you can then get some calls on the short term, 3 days, 1 day, right? We'll skip this Tesla chart. I'll zoom in a little bit, just give you a little teaser, and then we'll get out of here. Amazon, this is gonna be nice. If we get above 220, calls to 225, 228, maybe 230. If you get above all three of those levels, straight up to the top, I'm sure you can see it. And I'm sure if I zoom out a little bit, you can see why. Again, it's just giving you a higher low. Let's see if this is going to go into a higher high. That's why I still think SPY still has some gas left in it. A lot of these companies, a lot of these stocks, if you look at them, they still look like they have some potential left. They're hanging towards the top still. So this might be just one step in terms of a greater drop for everything. But this could mean that everything is kind of holding right now. Let's go to the NVIDIA chart here. Everybody, you're going to like this one. Look at this. Simple as this. SOXS. We got to fix this one. The QQQ chart. This is the one I was talking about earlier. This is the really nice one. Simple as this, everybody. Do have to add something for the downside, so if you want me to vocalize that right now, that would be below 506.52. Put straight down to 569. Under that, put straight down to 494.66. Going on to the next chart. AMD, not really too special. Got to fix this one. XLE, Energy. This is a really nice chart. As you can see, we made this chart when it was still kind of running towards the top here. Fell down and held on the line here. Since it held on this white line, I want to see if it's now going to start breaching towards the top side. Remember, you broke out up here of this wedge. Then you broke out towards the bottom again. Now let's see if this is going to break out towards the top and at least give you a higher high. If not, see if it's going to give you a lower high, which is somewhere around where my cursor is right now, 96. The higher high could be up here around 102. After that, see if this is going to collapse from the highs. If we get below 83, play the short side or the put side straight down to 76 and then potentially 62. Looking at XOM. Same exact idea. It hit the top. If it continues to drop for around this area here, see if it gets below 100 first. Once it gets below 101.22, then you can start playing the put side. Again, just be careful. It's still in the middle right now. It could still, hold and just run straight up to the top again. Just got to be careful here. Could be a good potential call play if you really think about it. Let's look at Microsoft. Actually, this chart is not done on Microsoft. Meta. I think this is a simple one. Why not just zoom in real quick, right? We're going to go on the 4 hour. I believe that's when I created it. Yep. No idea how I remember that. But again, you held on that 598 line like we wanted you to. And now you're getting sold off from the top. So if you fall straight down, we kind of want the trends to expand now. You did break out the top of the wedge. So you already know what that means. Let's see if we're going to break out towards the bottom and fall to around 596. If this holds and SPY holds, I could see this run up towards the high. But Meta looks like it's tilting downwards. PayPal. Haven't fixed this, but want this to drop to around 66.73. Netflix, got to fix this as well. But I want this to drop to around 790, where I can enter into calls for a $30 to $40 jump potentially. 3 months out, potentially going to sell it within a month and a half. That's the idea. Affirm, still had to fix this chart as well. It's holding though. Anywhere below 54.30, play the short side straight down to 49 and then 45.90s. Anywhere above 54, play the calls straight up to 59 and then 63.60. Upstart. We kind of want this to just fall down here. We'll keep it at that. You have your bonds. I don't think I fixed these charts right here, so we're just going to leave it at that. TLT? Nope. And that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have any other charts? No, we do not. Make sure you have a safe night. Make sure you pause throughout the video. Rewind it if you need to look at any of that previous information. If you want me to just recycle through that SPY chart, just to get you ready for SPY, because that's the priority, of course. I want to see if this is going to hold above 579. If it does, regardless if it does or not, once the market opens up, getting to calls, $150, $200 out. 2 months out. I just kind of said the months out before that, but I think you get what I was referring to. $100 to $200, maybe $300, 2 months out. I want to see if we're going to run to 593. That's my first target. I'm going to get my strike price somewhere between 580 and 590. All right, everybody. I'll see you on the next video. Let's do this.